This is John from ticketmotorbikes.com, and in this video I'm going to give an overview about different route options for traveling Vietnam. So first of all, the timings. A normal traveler will take around 20 to 25 days to get from Ho Chi Minh to Hanoi on a motorbike when considering stopping in tourist towns and doing tourist activities. If you drive every day, all day, at around 8 hours a day, it's going to take about 10 days of straight driving. So basically, if you have 2 weeks or less, you are on the extreme of the rush side. If you have 25 days or more, then you are on the casual side. Between Ho Chi Minh and Danang, halfway here is around 7 to 10 days of driving, and Danang to Hanoi, another 7 to 10 days of driving. The north above Hanoi is split into 3 sections, the northeast over here, the Giang Loops, and the northwest, each section being around 1 week of driving. So although it looks small on the map, this entire section here is roughly 3 weeks of additional driving if you choose to do so. Now, in terms of Google Maps, whatever Google tells you, you need to double, if not triple. So if it's telling you 4 hours to complete a journey, this is more realistically 6 or 7 hours. This is because a traveler will go along drinking coffee, taking pictures, this kind of thing. And also Google is not that great at accounting for the twists and turns on the mountain roads. Now, in terms of the weather, the south between Ho Chi Minh and Danang is pretty consistently hot. There can be big rainstorms, but they tend to pass over very quickly. Weather is localized, so you can usually pass through the rain, which is nice and tropical. Anyway, so basically for all-round reasonable conditions, the south is your best bet. Dalat is a very cold city, but basically you pop up to Dalat, you freeze to death, and then you go back into the blazing sun of Nha Trang. The middle section, Danang to Hanoi, this probably has the best roads for your average traveler on a motorbike. This is what really has made this country famous for motorbiking. But the weather is definitely less consistent. There are bigger storms. It can be colder. It can also be hot, and it can also rain a lot. So basically, variable conditions around here. And the north above Hanoi, again, variable weather conditions. These are the most volatile out of all of Vietnam, and they can also get very cold up here, right down into snow conditions. So one of the biggest mistakes travelers make when motorbiking this country is they do not bring enough gear. You really do need weather gear for hot times, rainy times, and also the cold times. And the south and the north have different seasons. So when the south is rainy, the north might be cold, for example. It's very, very random. So really you do need clothes for all conditions. Tigit Motorbikes has offices in Ho Chi Minh, Danang, and Hanoi, and it is possible to send bags on the train for $15. So basically, if you start in Ho Chi Minh, it might be wise to send a cold weather bag up to Hanoi, pick it up for traveling the north, and vice versa. If you're traveling the north and you have all your cold weather gear, you can send that down to Ho Chi Minh where it's waiting to be collected. So it's a good idea to utilize the trains for these purposes. And just remember that Vietnam has far more random weather than most people realize. So in terms of driving, the south has all-round averagely good roads. There are some very good roads here, but I guess arguably not spectacular roads. So you have a nice variety of scenery, the coastal roads, the inland roads, and a lot of farmland. Combine this with good weather, and you have a very consistent overall product. The mid-region, Danang to Hanoi, these are where the best roads are, but obviously the weather is more volatile. And then above Hanoi, you have the absolutely spectacular mountain roads, probably some of the most beautiful scenery in the entire world if you get the right conditions. But along with that comes the most volatile and random conditions to go with it. So basically, if you're worried about weather, then you should start off in the south. Now, Ho Chi Minh, you can do, the coast is more popular, but these days we send a lot of people up into the mountains straight away. So basically what most people will try and do is they'll go straight down the highway to Phan Thiet Mui Ne. Now, Mui Ne has a problem with police that are so bad that we now tell people just don't go there at all. It's not worth it. What you should be doing, you head down to Vung Tau around 3 hours, or you go to Lagi 6 hours. Now, keep in mind in Vietnam, these CT roads are for cars only. You can't take a motorbike on it. So for leaving Ho Chi Minh, you've got to go down to Cat Lai Ferry, and then off you go down towards the coast. So from Lagi, a good choice is to do this QL55B. all the way up to Dalat up here. That's a great drive. And then from Dalat, you can head down to Phan Rang to get your good coastal drives in. Now, where the coast really kicks off is from Phan Rang onwards. Phan Rang round here up to Nha Trang. Or if you want to throw in this little section here, this is also really, really good. You go around this white road. But basically, the coast from Vung Tau to Phan Thiet and even a bit further is nothing special. It really kicks off here around this green section and around here. So you can do Lagi up to Dalat, and then you can either come down to QL28B or you can come down to Phan Rang and get your good coastal driving in here. At Tigit Motorbikes, we send most of our customers inland. This is because we feel it's more for the motorbike enthusiast, which I guess these days is becoming more our clientele. Your average casual backpacker might just cruise up the coast, but we feel inland has better driving, and then you do the good coast afterwards. So you head inland up the QR20 to Katian National Park, a nice place to stay called Green Bamboo out here. And then one of my favorite roads in the entire country is this DT725 up to Dalat. A massive drive of about 10 hours, but it is truly awesome. The variation of scenery, mountain roads, farmland, forestry is absolutely amazing. I do really recommend this drive up to Dalat. And as I was saying earlier, you can then head down either of these ways to get your coastal driving, or you do what a lot of travelers do, Dalat over to Nha Trang seems to be an incredibly popular route. So from Nha Trang up to Danang halfway, there is no right or wrong way to do it. Basically, if you go up the coast, you're going to be on the highway, so nothing spectacular here. But on the plus side, you have very nice beach resorts as you go up. Quy Nhon in particular is a very nice mid-sized Vietnamese city, arguably underrated, so it's a good place to check out on the coast, versus heading inland where you kind of get the traditional Vietnamese lifestyle, coffee plantations, these kinds of things. Again, the roads are not spectacular, but you're definitely seeing the real Vietnam, Buon Ma Thuột Pleiku. A lot of customers seem to fall in love with Con Tum. I actually always skip it out, so I'm not sure, but it certainly seems very, very popular. So for this section, you have beach resorts versus traditional and real Vietnam whilst heading up to the Hoi An area. Now in Hoi An, this is definitely a place that most travelers fall in love with. I think most people would like to spend up to a week here if they have the time. Lots of shopping, beaches, tourist activities here. People just fall in love with this area. Then from Hoi An to Hue is this Hai Van Pass for the Top Gear Vietnam special, made famous. It's almost become so famous that it's a kind of tick box. Hey, have you done the Hai Van Pass? Yeah, I have. It's very good, but I personally feel it's a little bit overrated. I feel if you're a motorbike enthusiast, you should be heading inland straight away, or you can go and check out the Hai Van Pass. It's not very long, and then drive back again. Danang is also a nice city. In fact, it's my favorite city in the country, so it's also worth spending a day here. Check out the Hai Van Pass and come back if you want to. So you have two choices here, Hoi An up to Hue, and then Hue you head inland up to Khe Sanh over here, or from Danang you can head straight inland to see these old war tunnels here. Very few people get to see these because they tend to be on the Hai Van Pass doing this way, but when I'm driving, this is the route I'll take. Again, up to Khe Sanh. It's a big drive. There are places to stay if you don't make it, but you want to be ending up in around Khe Sanh. Now this is the Ho Chi Minh Road, which is why I'm having everything connect up to this QL14. This is what travelers come here to see. It is an absolutely incredible mountain road built off an old war trail. Absolutely spectacular to drive. And the great thing about it is because of the narrow landscape, although you get remote, you're not actually that far from civilization. So Khe Sanh and then Khe Sanh up to Phong Nha, arguably the best road in the country for your standard traveler on a motorbike. Absolutely amazing, and everybody should be doing it if possible. Now in Phong Nha, you have the all the caves: Phong Nha Cave, Dark Cave, Paradise Cave. A beautiful area that needs to be seen. You just got to keep in mind that the weather here is not always the greatest. From Phong Nha heading up to Hanoi, there is no right or wrong way to do it. Basically, it's 2 days of grinding driving. I've not found anything particularly interesting on these routes, so you can skip Dong Hoi directly to Hanoi on the train, or you can drive to Ninh Binh. Ninh Bình is actually a destination that a lot of people like, or you can go inland and then to Ninh Bình. Vietnam Coracle, the website, has a limestone loop around this area. I haven't had the chance to do it, but it looks great, so that might be worth checking out if you have time to spare. In terms of Hanoi and Halong Bay, we highly recommend you do not drive a motorbike to Halong Bay. The roads to get there are brutally bad, busy and dangerous. From Hanoi, you can book bus tours to see the Halong Bay area. If you do decide you want to go to Cat Ba Island, which is quite fun to drive around, you can do Halong Bay trips from here. You just need to be aware of what you're in for just terrible highway driving to get there. So it's a decision you need to make. In terms of the north, most travelers will head up to Hoi An to do these Hoi An loops. Around a week of driving, you got some choices. You can take the train overnight to Lao Cai, roughly around $50. But in my opinion, the north is so beautiful, you might as well be driving it. So you can go Hanoi right out here into a nice remote place, Vu Linh farm stay. From here, you're set up very nicely to go to either Hoi An or Sapa or Lao Cai from here. Hoi An, you just follow the usual Hoi An loops. This is becoming more and more famous every single day. Then in the northeast, going over here, you have Ba Bear Lake over here, which is very nice. And then over in the far northeast corner near China, you have the absolutely spectacular Ban Gioc waterfall that very, very few people get to see out here because it's just so far away. But I highly recommend it. I think it's underrated and not enough people are doing it. Out to Ban Gioc waterfall, and then you can drive along the Chinese border to Hoi An, connect it up, and then back down to Hanoi if you want. The northwest over here really is for your extreme adventure seeker. It tends to be the area that the tour companies use because it's off-road, technical and difficult driving. So if you're an adventure seeker, you can research into this area and try and find routes to go on. But yeah, you need to have off-road experience really. If you have the skills to tackle this area, then there are absolutely amazing views and places that very few people get to just because it's so difficult to get there. So for your normal traveler, you're not going to need to worry about the northwest over here. Keep in mind, these roads, they might look like normal roads, but some of them are absolute abominations of mud. A lot of fun to drive though, if you like that kind of thing. So basically, one of the reasons Vietnam is so popular to travel by motorbike is because each destination is within 1 day's drive of each other. That makes it very convenient. What you do, you commit to a day's drive, you go along drinking coffee, taking pictures in a nice casual way, nothing stressful. You do your tourist activities, and then you head to your next destination. A lot of people have this idea that they're going to spend 2 or 3 hours a day driving. This doesn't really work here. That's because you end up in the extreme countryside. There are places to stay, nyanyies, guest houses, hotels, but they're pretty run down. Food is limited and there's not much to do. It tends to be outside the foreigner's comfort zone. So the way you travel here, you commit to your day's driving, you do your activities in your new destination, and then onwards you go again. The Mekong Delta, I've kind of skipped out for now. In my opinion, it's not really worth driving. It's very hot, flat, and busy. So you have a touristy bus tours to go down there, but on a motorbike, I think there are better places to see. Having said that, the people who do ignore me and go into the Mekong Delta seem to enjoy themselves. Same story for Phu Quoc Island. I recommend just flying there. It's a great place, obviously, for culture. It's a hub of the farmland of Vietnam, but just for driving, it's very hot, flat, and busy. So Tigit Motorbikes has 3 offices, Ho Chi Minh, Danang, and Hanoi. The idea is you can pick up a bike in any of these offices and then drop it off again at a different one. This is John from TigitMotorbikes.com. I hope you enjoyed this video.